are named JavaScript function expressions, crucial for recursive debugging. Imagine trying to fix a tricky bug in your code and not knowing exactly where the problem is. Debugging can be a challenge, especially with complex functions. Today, we're exploring whether naming your function expressions in JavaScript makes a real difference when it comes to debugging recursive functions. In JavaScript, functions can be declared in two main ways, using function declarations or function expressions. Function declarations are hoisted, so you can call them before they appear in the code. Function expressions, on the other hand, are assigned to variables and are not hoisted. They can be anonymous or named. When you assign a function to a variable without a name, it's called an anonymous function expression. If you give it a name, it's a named function expression. Now, why does this matter for recursion? When a function calls itself, it needs to refer to its own name. With function declarations, the name is always available inside the function, making recursion straightforward. But with anonymous function expressions, there's no name inside the function. To make recursion work, you usually assign the function to a variable and call that variable inside the function. This can work, but it's less clear and sometimes more error-prone. Here's where named function expressions come into play. When you give a function expression a name, that name is available inside the function body. This means the function can call itself directly by name, even if it's assigned to a variable. This is especially helpful when debugging. If an error occurs inside a named function expression, the name appears in the error stack trace. This makes it much easier to see where the problem happened, especially in recursive functions where the call stack can get very deep. Anonymous functions show up as anonymous in error stacks, which makes tracking down issues harder. Named function expressions, however, show their name in the call stack, giving you a clear trail of where the recursive calls are happening. This clarity can save you a lot of time when debugging complex recursive logic. While function declarations support recursion naturally and are hoisted, they don't give you the flexibility of assigning functions as values. Named function expressions combine the flexibility of function expressions with the benefit of having a name for recursion and debugging. This makes them a smart choice when writing recursive functions that need to be easy to debug. For example, if you write a recursive function as a named function expression, you can call it by its name inside itself. If an error occurs, the name appears in the stack trace, helping you pinpoint the issue faster. This is especially useful in asynchronous JavaScript, where functions often get passed around as callbacks or assigned to variables. In summary, named function expressions are very helpful for recursive debugging because they provide a clear name inside the function. This makes error stacks more understandable and helps you trace recursive calls more easily. They're a good choice when you want the flexibility of function expressions along with the debugging benefits of having a name. So, if you're working with recursive functions in JavaScript, giving your function expressions a name is definitely a best practice to keep your debugging process smooth and straightforward.